So next are water features. Water features make us very unique. So you probably have seen a lot of different retaining wall systems, I'm sure, up to this point. When we go through the water features here, I think it's really going to start to separate us from a lot of the other types of faux rock systems that might be out there. So I guess there's a couple of important factors before we get into this, and we're going to go through a lot of I'd say the technical information, and then of course the economical information that I think is going to be important for you to help you to evaluate our products and our systems. But controlling the materials is one of the most important things. Instead of sourcing boulders and finding them in the mountains or the valleys or wherever it is that you live and transporting them and doing all those types of things and then getting cranes and strapping them and moving them around the property, we can be in control. So we can make our rocks on demand. So doing challenging things like this little archway over, let's say, the middle section of this pool would be pretty difficult if you were doing this with natural 12-ton, 15-ton boulders, right? I wouldn't say impossible, but definitely challenging, and you'd be really opening yourself up to some significant liability if something happened, right? So we've got lighter weight, no footings required typically, even though this is a new pool build. We typically can go right over the coping, right up to the edges with our materials and our systems without much trouble. So it's easier to design, it's easier to install, it's aesthetically going to look and feel like real rock and real stone, which I think again is some of the things that people really like about our system. But it's also going to be very strong. And we talked about the mixes that we have and the potential of our panels, which can be up to 2,000 flexural strength and upwards of 10, 11, 12,000 psi compressive strength. So again, on demand, lighter weight, easier to design and install, and aesthetically look and feel of real stone, and of course the longevity as well that I think everybody's going to be looking for. So now let's get into the Rapid Rock system. This mold system is going to make it a lot easier for you to develop some of the things that your customers are going to be looking for, especially when it comes to pool finishes. That's slides and caves and grottos and cascading walls of water and all the different things that you're looking at here. So we've got a lot of the things that we've developed, and especially on the mold side, we have step molds, and we'll go through this as we go through the next few slides. Our slide molds that we use to make our slides that you've seen in the pictures or the videos, and then our bracing mold, or what we call our support mold, which cups and goes underneath the slide. And I'll show you that in a couple of slides so that you can provide the structural strength that you're going to need when you install that. We have railing molds, which make it a lot easier for you to make railings and things like that. So making pool water features like that can become a lot easier, and keeping up with the demand and the ease of the install, the speed of the install, the strength of the install, the longevity of the install, all the things that are going to be important factors going forward. So as you can see, with our poolside water features, and these are all on existing pool decks, except for this one here, which was up in Arkansas. That was a new pool, brand new pool that was just constructed. We're hanging our rocks right over the pool, right over the coping, right up to the edges, as you can see, without much trouble. So our rocks that you're looking at are hollow for the most part. Now, we may have some bracing and some other panels inside here to keep up with the structural integrity, but for the most part, you're looking at rocks and boulders that were made without any endostructure. How would you like to make water features like that? So getting your X-ray vision and looking behind the rocks, right, the panels, this is what the slide would look like. So there's our bracing mold. See how it's cupped over here? We can make it different sizes, as we may start up at 8 or 9 feet tall and then gradually go down to maybe a foot. There's our step mold, which again just makes things easier and more profitable. So all the different types of grottos and caves are all made from the same panel system. Again, rocks that can be hung over pools, right over the edges of pools. I mean, if you're going to hang a 8, 9-ton boulder over a pool like that, I mean, how would you do that? It'd be very difficult. With our system, it just makes it easier. Residential landscapes, This is a little lazy river that we did, going down to a pond and a water feature. More landscape water features. It's the backyard. What's nice about this water feature is that rock right there, that big boulder is a real boulder, and we were able to match our panels and our colors. I think that might be the ultimate test for any faux rock system, right? There's a water feature right inside a retaining wall. This is a split rock that we do. This is in Florida. So just beautiful things, whether it's a poolside or a landscape water feature with a pond. This is up in Montana. And it is limitless, depending on what it is you're doing now and how you see yourself possibly bolting or complementing your business with this platform. Whether it's flat work, making your steps and patio look and feel like wood, or trees, or bridges, conversation areas with sitting walls and a fire pit. And this is a little bit more on the creative side. I like to show this because one of the dream team, Dave, that built this in Houston, Texas. So a lot more on the artistic side. Now, I wouldn't say everyone in our network could probably do this type of project, but we do have a lot of people that are artistic. Dave certainly is, and doing these types of projects for one of the largest zoos in the country, whether it's miniature golf courses, zoos, bird sanctuaries, petting zoos. Just did a petting zoo down in St. Augustine, Florida, for example. That's how far this can go. It's a wedding venue we did in Lake Geneva area. Little Greek fountains. We have all the molds for these and the statues. So again, making you more unique, helping you stand out in your area, not being like everybody else is what this is all about. And let's go through, I guess, the old-fashioned way. Or I shouldn't even say that because I know people are still doing this. Like I had mentioned earlier, finding the boulders in your area or in the mountains or the valleys, as I mentioned, is the first challenge. The other challenge is, these aren't your grandfather's rocks. These boulders are not inexpensive anymore. Years ago, they used to be a couple $100. These boulders now are thousands of dollars. Then you have to transport them down. You have to get a crane, stop moving around. Before you can put a 40-ton boulder, and that's what that one looks like to me, around a new pool, you're going to have to dig. You're going to have to do footings and concrete and hope that it doesn't fail, right? So too much time, too much labor, in our opinion. When we want to make our rocks and our boulders, as we talked about, we can do it on demand. So we take our 50-pound bag of mix, we add water, we put it into a 55-gallon drum. We're going to spread that into our molds. You're first going to put a release agent on that mold. I should probably have a picture of that. But after you spread the material, at least at a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick in your rock molds, in about 45 minutes to an hour, this mix is what? It's 4,500 PSI. In 3 hours, it's what? 7,000 PSI. And as we talked about, 28-day cure, you're anywhere between 10 to 12,000 PSI. But in less than an hour, you're popping that panel off of your mold, and that's ready to be used. Now, to run an efficient business, I would imagine you do not want to pay your guys to watch panels cure and molds, right? You would probably make your panels prior to that job, deliver all your panels or most of your panels. You can still make panels on site, but I think you know what I mean. To prepare, like most of our jobs that we do, you would probably want to have most of your panels done. So then we can take a 5/32 masonry bit. We can drill through our panels. And our mix, as we talked about, will mechanically and chemically bond to itself. So filling up all these gaps is pretty easy. And then coloring, we just take a pump sprayer. We put in our water-based concrete stains. And it's going to soak it up. Our material will soak it up really well. So coloring, a lot of people ask me, geez, it must take a long time to color. Fact of the matter is, it really doesn't. I guess depending on the size of the project, but for the most part, it takes minutes to do. And on the economics, if you were going to build a 12-foot wide, 9-foot high, 9-foot deep poolside water feature like this one with a 10-foot slide, you would need about $7,900 in materials. You'd need some extra materials for the slide. And then you would say 3 to 4 guys, 3 to 4 days, you need about $3,600 in labor. You're about $13,000 in your cost of goods sold. Retail price in this would be anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000. You're looking at about $31,000 in gross profit. Now, what you're learning is the profits with the water features are really nice. And one of the main reasons why the panels are only 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. That's all they are. And on a cost standpoint, you're about $9 to $9.50 a surface square. Let's just call it $10. You'll get anywhere from 8 to 9.5 surface square foot coverage per 50-pound bag of mix. And we charge anywhere from $38 to $45. Really depends on the degree of difficulty. For example, once we add a slide or cascading rocks or a cave, as contractors, when there's a higher degree of difficulty, what do we typically do? We charge more, right? So you have your range, you have your cost. Next will be outdoor kitchens. So please click on the next video to watch how we build outdoor kitchens, fire features, and do countertops.